At this point of the program development, we allow the user to add and show to-do items. The user can also exit the program, but in this video we want to add a new feature, a new edit feature, which allows the user to edit existing to-do items. So how do we go about adding a new feature? Well, to be able to add a new feature, you should think from the user's perspective. So try to be in the user's shoes. So let's run the program as it is now. And let's think as the user. So this says add, type add, show or exit. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add here an option, edit. So type add, show, edit or exit. So if we run this now, we're going to get the correct prompt. Then the user might want to press edit here. We want to add a new case to count for that scenario. So case edit, a colon, press enter, PyCharm indents automatically the next line. And here, what can we write? Well, for now, let's just say print got it. Just something dummy. And rerun the program. And try again to think as the user. So the user wants to press edit, but first they want to add something like add a new to-do, clean, add, throw, add, prepare. And then they want to press edit. So we pressed edit, got it, was printed out, so that case statement is working fine. But let's think of how do we want to tell the program which of these items we want to edit. So in this command line interface, we have basically two options. So either we should say that we want to edit clean and we explicitly type down the exact to-do item there, and then the program asks us a second question such as what do you want the new to-do to be, and you write the new to-do which will override the existing to-do, or you just say the number. For example, you want number 2, so you want to edit number 2. I think the second scenario where you just tell the number of the to-do is more meaningful. So the user first says show, it knows the order of these, and then it says number 2, edit. And then the program asks again the user to enter the new to-do for that, to override that to-do, and so on. So let's close this and go to the program. So if the user enters edit, we want to ask the user a new question. Let's say number is equal to input number of the to-do to edit. So we ask the user to enter the number of the to-do item. So if the user enters 2, for example, 2 will be stored in the number variable. Let's see if we successfully get that. So print number, run again. So let's say edit 2, and we get out 2. So what can we do now with this 2? Well, we will use list indexing system to be able to extract that item of the list which has an index of 2. So let me give you an introduction to this list indexing system. Let's say we have the list to-dos is equal to clean, throw, and prepare. So that's the list. So if you want to extract that item from the list, you do to-dos, square brackets, 1. And that will give you throw. which of course you can also store that in a variable. To do is equal to that, to do is equal to throw. And that's the list again. Sorry, to do's is the list. And to do's one gives you throw. Why? Because this first item has an index of 0. This second item has an index of 1, and the next item has an index of 2, and so on. So what we're doing here is we are accessing the item with index 1, which is the item throw. So that means if you press 0 here, you get clean. If you do 2, you get prepare. If you write 3, you'll get an error because it says list index is out of range. So there are no items with index 3. So back to our program. We get the number, so the index, and we use that index to access the to-dos list. So number here. And that will give us the to-do item, which the user wants to edit. And what do we do with this now? Before we answer that question, let's make sure we got this correctly. So let's call this existing to do is equal to that and print existing to do. Let's see what this is going to give us. So I'll run this. Let's add a new to do, clean, add a new one, prepare, show the to-do list, clean, prepare, then press edit to edit a new one, number of the to-do to edit. So that is 0, that is 1, but the user doesn't know this. So the user maybe will write down 1 to mean that. So we need to adjust for that in the script. We'll do that also. So let's try to enter 1. And we get an error. The error is in line 16. So it's here. It says that type error list indices must be integers or slices, not str. So it seems that the index is a string. What is the index? The index is this part here, this number that we give in here. But the interpreter is saying this is string, and this is true because the input function always produces a string type. So even if the user enters a number, that number is actually a string. It is just text. It is not recognized by Python as a number. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's say you want to store in variable a, you want to store the input. Enter a number. So you enter a number, let's say 10, right? And you might think that a now is a number, right? So if you do a plus 2, you will get an error because you are trying to concatenate a string. So 10 is a string, you can also see the quotes here, with a number. And that doesn't make sense for Python. The interpreter is confused, doesn't know what to do, so you get an error. The solution here is to use a function which converts a string to a number. So that function is int. If you write 10 here, it will give you a number. So let's say b again is int 10, type b is int. So integer is a whole number in Python. You can also use float. Let's say we have this string. You press enter and b now is a float, so it's a decimal number. So float converts strings to decimal numbers and int converts strings to whole numbers. So type B is a float. Right, so we use that to convert this into int. So if you say int here and you wrap that inside int, so the output of the input function will be the input of the int function. In other words, the output of the input function is 1, so 1 will be the input of the int function, and we get 1 as an integer, a whole number. So we need to work with whole numbers here, because indices are whole numbers. So we had the to-dos list, to-dos, you cannot say 1.3, you'll get an error. You can only say 1 or 2 and so on. Right, now number is an int, so now we shouldn't get an error anymore. So let's run this. Add clean, add throw, show, edit. I'll edit number 1, press enter, and we get extracted the throw item from that list. So number 1 extracted throw. But as a user, I don't know about the indexing system of Python. I don't know that Python starts the indexing from 0. So us as a programmer, we need to adjust for that lack of knowledge from the user's part about the system that Python is based on. There's an easy solution for that. We just go to our script. So we grab the number. Let's say the user entered 1, but they meant 0, right? The first item, but the item has an index of 0. So we say number is equal to number, so 1 minus 1. So we get 0. If the user enters 1, 1 minus 1, we get 0. If the user enters 2, 2 minus 1, we get 1, and so on. Right, so that should give us the actual to-do that the user wants to edit. But then how do we go about replacing that to-do? So we have the list to-dos. Now with to-dos and 1 we got the item. But if you want to replace that item, we say to-dos 1 is equal to new item. Whatever the user enters here. Press enter, and now if you check to-dos, you see that throw is replaced with that new item. Therefore, we go in here, and instead of doing that, we say to-dos number, so throw is equal to new to-do. What is new to-do? Well, new to-do is something we get from the user using again the input function enter new to-do. So I'll run this now and you'll see that this is working well. Add clean, add throw, add prepare, show. So we have 3 items and we want to edit throw. So we count 1, 2, oh, that's number 2. So edit, number of the to-do to edit, 2, enter new to-do. How about disassemble? Press enter, press show to see the to-dos, and here we have disassemble is the item with number 2. Sorry for the typo, disassemble. Anyway, exit, and we exit the program. So that's the final version of the edit feature. Let me delete this break line. So what you learned in this video was how to convert from a string to a number using that int function. You also learned how to access items from a list using that syntax, and you also learn how to replace an item using that syntax. This was quite a long video, but these features are very crucial for you. You're going to use them in every application. that you'll build with Python, no matter if it's web development, data science, or other fields of Python. So thank you for following, and I'll talk to you later.